Okay, well, thanks everyone so much for joining today. Appreciate you jumping in to learn a little bit more about ticketing, Pearls, what we're seeing in the space. And I'm really pleased to be joined by two of my favorites in the industry, Brian Jemison and Danny Gardner. I don't want to take anything away from you, so I'll let both of you kind of give just a little bit of your background for the group that's on. And Brian, I'll go ahead and start with you just because you're top of my screen.
Great. Well, one, thank you for allowing me this opportunity to speak as well. Excited to talk about what we're seeing in this space. But in regards to my background, so I've been in the sports entertainment industry for over 20 years now. I've worked on the NBA side. I've worked on the MLB side, obviously now NHL. Even did an internship with the NFL. So been able to touch upon all four of the major sports leagues. So, but traveled around, where it's been to start in Detroit, worked in New Jersey and New York and Miami, Boston, the whole nine. So seen a couple different things from different platforms, but no, excited to be here. Right now, I currently work with Ilitch Sports Entertainment, which oversees the Detroit Tigers and the Detroit Red Wings, plus events over at Little Caesars Arena, and oversee the service team here from a membership and premium perspective. But excited to have this conversation and dialogue. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks so much, Brian. Danny.
Yes, thank you again for having me today. I'm Danny Gardner, Director of Ticket Operations with the Pittsburgh Penguins. I got my start as an intern here back in 2009 when I was attending the University of Pittsburgh. And I liked my internship so much that I stuck around with the team ever since. After my internship, I did a little bit of work on the hockey operations side. After that, I was a customer service representative. So fielding a lot of our inbound email messages and inbound calls just regarding the game experience, as well as being an account rep for season ticket holders. And then most recently, I've been on the ticket operations side. So worked very closely with our BI team from a reporting perspective, our marketing team from an email and website update perspective. And then on game nights, I also work in the box office, just assisting with ticket resolution. And then as it relates to DIGIDECK, I help out with our renewal campaign.
Fantastic. Well, thank you both so much. As you all can see, we've got two experts in the space joining us. And again, thank you both for your time. So we just covered the introductions, but I'm sure many of you like to know what's going to happen in the next 30 to 40 minutes or so. So we check the first one off the list. We'll go ahead and move into a little bit of background data information that we pulled from some aggregate list of clients that we work with, as well as just discussing some of the trends that Brian, Danny, myself are seeing in the space and use cases even beyond the Purl and renewal campaigns that we think could be relevant for the group today. And we'll tie it all together with Q&A at the end. I do want to encourage you to use the chat if you have any questions or things that pop up as we're going through content. We have someone on our marketing team kind of managing that chat for me, and I'll be sure to kind of reference that to chime in and answer questions along the way if we can. And if I miss it while we're going through things, I'll definitely pull it up when we get to the Q&A portion. So kind of without further ado, I'll go ahead and dive into a little bit of the data. And as Danny and Brian and I were preparing for the conversation with you all today, we really thought it would be helpful to look at not just what they're doing at the Penguins and the Tigers and the Red Wings, but what other pro sports teams are doing as well, and what are we seeing. And since I'm at DIGIDECK and we work with over 600 clients, we have a lot of data that we can dig into. So we took data across 6 different pro teams, renewal campaigns that were run, and just tried to look at how are people engaging with content? Where are they viewing? How are they viewing? How long are they spending? Because we felt like this was really giving us some great information to kind of set the stage for what we were going to cover today. So really looking at how much more people are engaging with content when it's in a personalized digital experience versus something like a traditional PDF. So 5 times, that's a strong number there. And then interestingly, people are, of course, looking at this. Typically, their first look is on mobile. So 60% of those first views are on mobile. But in digging into the numbers more, what we saw was that phone was really just skimming the information. And when they want to engage and dig into the information that's provided, they're going on their desktop. And you can kind of see here, we found that, just under 2 minutes was how much time on average people were spending on mobile. But once you flip to the desktop, that's when they're spending 4+ minutes of time really digging into what are my benefits, what other information do I need to know about being a member, a ticket member at my perspective club or organization. And then the other piece on here that I think is interesting as well is those revisits. So looking at how much people are coming back to that renewal Purl, that personalized Purl. And I know, Danny, you had a little bit of a tidbit of information that you were going to share here. So would love to kind of get your thoughts on that.
Sure. Yeah. And I would just like to say, like, it wasn't that long ago that, we were printing invoices and sending them, out via the mail and, stuffing all the invoices. So having this, from a digital perspective has really changed the game for us. So we see a high level of engagement on launch day, but the majority of our engagement actually comes after the first 7 days. And the dashboard allows us to identify fans that maybe haven't opened the renewal portal yet. And it gives us an opportunity to target them directly. But we also see fans coming back to it. It's not just a one-click thing. They're spending time on multiple slides, and they're revisiting that Purl multiple times.
Fantastic. Well, just some great data, I think, to set the stage before we dig into kind of the next piece and really looking at sort of metrics, insights, what you guys are seeing. And so one of the things we were talking about is using the data available to you to make better decisions on your strategy and drive your strategy. So would love just to get a little bit of a sense from you. Danny, I know ticket usage is a big signal that you've referenced for your team. Can you walk me through kind of what you're seeing there?
Yeah, ticket usage is a key signal that we look at because it gives us a better understanding of how members are engaging with their tickets. The number of tickets that they're using can tell us a lot. So if they're not attending games, that might be an opportunity for us to reach out and say, hey, I see that you haven't scanned, for a couple games. Did you know about Ticket Trade, which is something that our season ticket holders like to utilize that allows them to, switch into a game that they might not have or get additional tickets for a game that they already have? Or do you know about our tickets for kids donation that you can send? So yeah, ticket usage is something that we definitely look at during the season.
Awesome. Thank you. And I kind of skipped over the intentional surveys and would love to hear from you, Brian, a little bit on how you're using surveys to really guide your strategy and overall plans and engagement with your members.
Yeah, I mean, it's a key part of what we do. We do it before every campaign just to kind of get an idea of where our exposure is and the people we need to engage with. So we intentionally survey people right before we launch. It gives us an opportunity to understand like utilization, as Danny was just talking about. I think that's key. What things they want to see different, what things are important to them. So then when we like go out with our offering for the renewal, like we'll understand what incentives we need to introduce potentially or increase for things we may not be needing to offer because it doesn't have a lot of value to it. But we're very intentional with what we ask in those surveys, just because it's going to help us out overall and just make sure we're providing the right benefits, right incentives when we go ahead and roll out a renewal campaign.
Yeah, love that. And Danny, how about you?
Yeah, we use post-game surveys as well as season ticket holder year-end surveys. So I would say the post-game surveys, like Brian said, we're very intentional in our questions, but I think that gives us an opportunity to address things that might need like immediate attention. Like if someone says, hey, there's nachos spilled or the chair arm is broken, that gives us an opportunity to fix things right then and there. Or if they're saying the audio is too loud or I can't hear the audio in the upper bowl, that gives us an opportunity to really get things fixed for the next game, which might be the next day or the day after. And then on the season ticket holder front, I think, our surveying allows us to see how we can improve for future seasons. It also gives season ticket holders who attend a lot of games the opportunity to shout out specific individuals, whether that be an usher that they see every day or someone from our retention team that does a really great job. So it gives us an opportunity to, send that feedback their way as well.
Yeah,
I'll just say
celebrate the
another,
wins too, right? The surveys are about the wins too.
That's
yeah, I
right.
think another part of it is like to that, it's like we can provide wow moments, like just to kind of like push people over the edge or just like understand what's like once again important to them. But for those folks that are, we'll intentionally ask like, are you going to plan on renewing? Yes or no? How do you plan on renewing? Because if someone obviously is going to raise their hand and say, hey, unlikely to renew, like we know we can target them, maybe provide them that wow moment of fireworks in the dugout. Maybe
Mhm.
it's a Zamboni ride. There's a number of different things we have in our back pocket that we can always use to hopefully get them from a no to a yes.
Yeah, love that. Love that. And I think that's a good segue into that predicted fan behavior or the lack of a lack thereof. So Brian, I know you had mentioned like you just kind of alluded to that, right? You focus on the fans sometimes that aren't engaging and like how you've approached that and where you think that actually helps you once you can identify who they are and sort of some of the steps you take once you've done that.
Yeah, I mean, what we have on the back end, we work with our CRM team to understand like how we're engaging with folks. So we have a whole dashboard campaign management where we understand like the folks we have high engagement with, good, bad, or indifferent, and low engagement with. And what we want to do is try to find that happy medium across the board, where we put benchmarks in front of our team members to follow up, making sure they're having conversations with. The last thing you want to do is go to a renewal campaign with low engagement and not really understanding is that intentional because that member doesn't like engagement, or it's just because you haven't had a chance to because of all the other engagement with other members where it kind of like almost has you neglect them, but not intentionally.
Right.
Through that, like it gives us an opportunity to identify those folks. Very similar like the survey, we understand the people that aren't going to renew, we can target them. Just like with the low engagement folks, we can now go and target those individuals, make sure we have conversations because at the end of the day, we want to understand the reason why they're purchasing tickets and making sure that we come through with all their objections or objectives when purchasing a ticket. So it's super important to manage that number as well and understand what that universe looks like. Just because they won't probably fill out the survey because they're low engaged. They're not going to tell you the nachos are stale. They're not going to tell you the hot dogs are cold. So you want to make sure you are more proactive with those folks, just so you understand, like I said, what you're walking into during any type of renewal campaign or any type of sales campaign.
Yeah, and actually, we had a good question that just came in from the group. They're just asking, and it's a good segue of, Brian, one of the things we talked about in preparation for today, and Danny, please feel free to chime in as you see fit, is you said, sometimes if they're going to opt out, we want to know early and why that's a better thing. And the question is, what are you doing for people who have said they aren't renewing? So that early opt out, when you're getting that early opt out, what steps are you taking? How are you addressing that?
Great question. I think it's all about your mindset on how you attack those. Some people say opt out, oh my gosh, it's the end of the world. It's not that bad. Like opt out in my eyes just means just don't charge me on whatever. For Tigers, it's September 15th. For the Red Wings, it's March 1. That's all that really means to me. It doesn't mean I'm not coming back. It doesn't mean I'm not interested in renewing. It just means I need more time and a little extra TLC. And that's how we kind of approach those accounts. Like if someone were to opt out, let's say today, doesn't mean I need to call them today. I just need to be aware of that and understand what my exposure is on the back end and have a strategic plan on how to reach out to those folks. Because if someone were to opt out today, you call them today or tomorrow, it's kind of almost like, yes, I see it and now I'm scared. And like, it's like, no, like it's okay to embrace that. Just understand, like you have to have a strategy to overcome those opt-outs when the time is right. And like I said, just show them a little extra TLC, but it's definitely not the end of the world. People opt out. That's okay. You want to know that so you can go ahead and prep. What you don't want is you're about to go through Easy Pay or charge cards and then you get a bunch on the last day. Like that, in my opinion, that's the more scarier thing. I'd rather them slowly trickle in and just understand what this universe is, because if there's something universal with a group of people that are opting out, hopefully you can address it in mass versus it being one-offs. So then you can be more proactive in that sense.
Yeah, and I think we're going to cover some things when we get to kind of use cases beyond the renewal. There's some other things that you're doing, Brian, specifically for different types of members, and Danny, you as well. So we'll cover a little bit more that I think will be relevant to the question that we just covered. But to kind of keep things moving, I'll go ahead and shift over to really kind of using the renewal to drive value for those ticket members too. I think that was something that in our conversations leading into today, you guys had some great examples to share. And Danny, one of the things that you mentioned was really kind of putting members in the driver's seat by doing that kind of the pick your perk. So would love to have you kind of dive in a little bit more here.
Yeah, sure. So this was definitely our most viewed slide out of our entire presentation. So basically, as part of their renewal, they had the opportunity to pick one of these perks. So a challenge coin series, a 60th anniversary mega puck, or guaranteed gate giveaways. So we've done this before, and fans might get just a specific gift, but this really allows them, the custom ability to pick something. And working with our BI team, this was a massive improvement for us. So we were able to have that pick your perk button be specific to each season ticket holder within the presentation. So when someone selected that perk, it automatically flowed into our CRM, and we could see an easy dashboard of not only what that individual picked, but where we're at as a total. And that was a massive improvement for us, because previously we would have someone pick that and we would get an email. That email would be forwarded to the rep. The rep would add a note in art text on what they picked. So this really allowed us to streamline that process and gave our reps more time, when it's an extremely busy point in the season for the retention team.
Yeah, I love that. Great example. I know, Brian, the other thing I'm not going to take your phrase, because you phrased it the pre-Purl, and really kind of one of the trends that we've seen beyond you. I know you were one of the first, but we really have seen people take that phased approach to their renewal campaigns, and would love just to have you touch on that a bit, and kind of your thought process behind that and kind of the success that you've seen from it.
Yeah, I don't know if I can coin it, maybe it was internally, but sure, pre-Purl it is. It's been super impactful for us. So we've worked on different renewal campaigns with you all. This was the first time we actually did on the Tiger side. And with that, we were really wanted to make sure we got in front of our 921 Society members, make sure they were aware of it, because it was different than what they've seen in the past. So any firewall, stuff like that. So we're like, all right, how can we be more proactive with this than just saying, hey, when we launch on August 10th, like everyone's going to see it, to understanding like there's going to be some issues there. So what we did was created a pre-Purl with you all just to make sure people had access to it. And what we did also was incorporate an opportunity for people to do upgrades. Now, when we do upgrades, we've asked that question in the past, but it was like, what does that mean? So basically with our pre-Purl now, people were able to request an upgrade, and not only request it, but also tell us what they mean by it, which then helps the team members be very strategic on the conversation that's being had. Because for some people, it's, hey, I just want to move to the aisle. Or, hey, some people it's like, I want to stay in the same price and move a couple rows. Some people it's, I want to be closer to home plate, or I want to be in a club seat. So doing this pre-Purl and having this phased approach helped us before we even launched to hopefully get some people in the door and hopefully get them out of the way from having another additional renewal conversation. They felt like, hey, I'm glad to be a part of it. They were able to pick what they wanted. It was great there. And then at the same time, we're able to start putting the DIGIDECK Purl in front of folks for the first time ever. So then when we launched a week later, they were able to be like, okay, I'm familiar with this. I know how to transact. I can continue to move the needle forward and go.
Love that. Love that. I think the other piece, and I kind of have it on here too, is the other trend we've seen is for those of you that are in the MLS space, obviously there's a huge shift, having kind of the sprint season, a shift in what the schedule's in that space. And so we've seen that a lot too, where people have done kind of their pre-Purl as an education campaign. So if there are big moments in your league that are coming up that are going to be new and different for the fans, we're seeing that as content that's really being leveraged in that pre-Purl of just an education phase for those partners. So Brian, I know you're talking about upgrades were a big piece for you. But if you think about, historical moments for some of the leagues, big changes, big shifts, it is a good opportunity to take to educate fans during the pre-pro. So they're not getting the education and the renewal all at the same time, right? It's all happening in phases, allowing them to get kind of more digestible information, ask those questions that they might have about the sprint season ahead of time, so that, again, to your point, get those out of the way, so then you can kind of have a smooth process once you get to that renewal phase. So appreciate the insights there. I think the other piece is really just tying renewals to specific moments was something that we had talked about as well. And Danny, I know you guys had talked about tying those to playoffs in the past. So would love just to get your 2 cents there.
Yeah, so we typically launch our renewal campaign in mid-February, which worked out really well for us this past season because it was during the Olympics. So it really allowed us a time to focus on renewals and even upgrade opportunities. But for us, we're on auto renew. So season ticket holders have a 30-day opt-out window, but renewals for the following season are tied to this year's playoffs. So as an added benefit for renewing your season ticket package, you can enroll in what we call pay as you play. And that is where your card is charged at the conclusion of each round only for the games that are in your plan. So we're not asking season ticket holders to pay, a massive amount of money up front. You're only getting charged for, the games that are in your plan that are actually paid or played. So I think overall, this just gives greater flexibility to our season ticket holders, and it creates a strong connection between the renewal and then this year's playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. Love that. So I think, we answered a couple questions that came up. We just answered them direct on the Q&A. So I'll jump forward to, okay, we've covered some of the key reasons and ways that you all are leveraging digital solutions for renewals. But thinking about kind of beyond that, what are some of the other ways that you're really kind of leveraging some of the solutions you have? So the first really being around that premium extension campaign. And Brian, I'll tee this one up for you, because you had mentioned this was kind of a unique thing and something you didn't initially set out to use DIGIDECK for, actually, but you saw some good success with this.
Yeah, I mean, our extension campaign. So, what we obviously, I think all teams want to do is prevent cliffs, right? You don't want, out of your premium accounts, you don't want 80% of them to come up for renewal at one time. It's just not good business. So, so what we decided to do after going through the Red Wings renewal campaign, and we knew this was going to be something we wanted to approach, was our Tiger side, and understand hey, can we get these people to extend out additional years, whether it's 3, 5, 7, etc. So we started leveraging things all right, how do we leverage this? How do we put it in front of folks? So what we did was create basically a Purl just for the extension instead, which worked out great. We had very similar concepts. I think the biggest thing when we create our Purls, and the first thing we keep in mind is how do we make it simplistic? We don't want to make this 30 chapter slideshow. We really just want to keep it to, I would say, 5, where it starts off with, we want to show you what your pricing is. So whether it's through an extension or renewal, whatever, we want to show you why you should do it now with incentives, overall benefits, who your team member is, who you work with, and then just a little FAQ, keeping it very simple. But going back to the extension campaign, it was great. We got in front of some of these accounts before we had to go through a renewal campaign. And we plan to utilize it again for the future and have this be in constant rotation. So we've seen success on the Tiger side. We plan to bring it over to our Red Wing side as well, and then have this be a part of our cadence, just like it is for renewals, to something we do on an annual basis for both teams.
Yeah. And Danny, I know your team has used it in the premium space too. Do you want to kind of talk about your experience there?
Yeah, I would just say that, within the DIGIDECK platform, we were kind of easily able to leverage the existing renewal campaign that we had and kind of give it a more, business centric focus. So whether that be highlighting exactly, where on the map the fan sits, so they can see where they're at, what their suite is available for not only Penguins games, but also non-Penguins events. We're able to incorporate their logo throughout the presentation, which I think is a nice, customization touch. And overall, we can just, clearly show them what their investment is, not only with Penguins hockey, but also other events that are here. So we highlight events that they would have seen and events that are still upcoming. We can show them the cost savings that are associated to a 1-year agreement or a multi-year agreement. So just being able to kind of leverage what we currently have and customize it for the premium experiences is pretty simple for us.
Yeah, yeah. And Brian, I know one of the things that we talked about is, really at Ilitch, you all were hyper focused on really unifying the approach and having kind of an organization-wide solution and have organizational alignment, knowing that initially you and the team jumped in and really leveraging solutions for ticket sales and service in a consistent manner and really integrating with your overall tech stack, making sure that you were making most of the investment that Ilitch has made in some of these technologies to make the team, streamlined, more efficient, and really give them time to engage with the members, have those conversations, all of those things. But would love to get a sense from you on kind of how important that really unifying all those revenue streams together has been for you and kind of the approach that you guys took.
Yeah, it's super important. Long gone are the days of I'm going to put together my own PowerPoint, I'm going to send them my own this, that, and everything else. But what we wanted to do is just make sure we had a unified look and feel for Ilitch Sports Entertainment. So if you are a season ticket holder, for example, with the Tigers, you're going to see the same type of flow if you're a season ticket holder with the Red Wings as well. We don't want a lot of things not be consistent across the board. And then even outside of the renewal universe or service world, like even from a new business group's perspective, like it still should have the same look and feel of Ilitch Sports Entertainment, and even on a premium sales perspective, So we've been able to continue to like expand what we're doing and just make sure everything still has an overall look and feel. Just so if they are doing a premium suite lease, if they are doing a group outing, if they like whatever it is, we're showing them. It's going to be consistent from a branding perspective, functionality standpoint. And then on top of that, it even helps our team members out as well be more efficient. So when they are like doing certain unique tweaks or whatever to their deck, like they're familiar with the platform, they're able to move and maneuver, they'll have access to everything. I think it just overall just makes our lives easier from a branding perspective, the colleagues' perspective to change things up. The season ticket member or the prospect as well, like they're seeing consistent messaging as well and functionality. So it's been a huge, in my opinion, benefit for us, just because we want to, like I said, make this as streamlined as possible, which I think that's the goal for a lot of people.
Yeah. And I kind of hesitate to even say this next point because we know there really is no true off season anymore, right? No downtime. But, when we think about kind of off season events and how you're really trying to use that to drive more value for those members, where while it's busy for you, for members, they may feel like it's a downtime when it's the off season. They're like, can't wait to get to the next game and they're waiting for the season to start. So how are you engaging with people through different events? And I know, Danny, you had talked about the Center Ice series and some other things. So would love to hear from you first. And then Brian, I'll turn it over to you as well. But Danny, go for it.
Sure. Yeah. So from a new business perspective, the Center Ice series is something, that's relatively new for us. But basically it gives us an opportunity to meet with the business community and connect them with Penguins executives. These take place in our all-inclusive NJM club, and anybody that attends gets drinks and appetizers. And it's usually a panel session that's hosted by one of our TV and radio personalities, and it features executives who work within a given industry. Last month, we did one for the specialty contracting and real estate industry. Next week, we'll be hosting one for the energy industry. So overall, it's just a great way for us to, get in front of, our business community and show them how, Penguins hockey can play a role within their organization. And then for the select a seat, that's something that we do several times each season. We did one right before the playoffs, one during the summer, and we'll be doing one next month. But it's just a way for us to have fans be able to come in person, and we kind of say, try it before you buy it. So basically, we mark each seat that's available for full seasons, half seasons, and 12-pack plans. And it just allows fans to come down, talk with the Penguins representative. We answer any questions that they might have, and they're able just to see the view of what their experience will actually look like from a given seat. So it's just a great way for us to meet new clients and hopefully sell them season ticket packages.
Yeah, I love that. And Brian, I know we talked a little bit about your rookie events that you are hosting. I feel like you have a number of different types of events that just happen to be one. So feel free to chat about that and elaborate on any others that you all have been doing.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can all attest like the rookies are the most volatile part of our business. So we want to make sure we stay engaged with those first year accounts. So we do things at the beginning of each season, make sure they're prepped, ready to go. They have all the information they need. They know who to contact, make sure they know how to use their ballpark app or their Ticketmaster account. Like there's a number of different things we do with our rookie accounts, give them a little gifting as well. Then we also, in regards to the rookies, like we just hosted a rookie renewal event just to make sure they understand all the things that come along with renewing. So their incentives, their benefits, how they do it. Because most of these folks didn't necessarily buy during our traditional time. So we're just trying to educate them. They're like, oh, I'm used to paying in December. Well, this is how it typically works to walk people through it. But as Danny has like listed here, like we run a bunch of these similar type of events like a Select This Seat. We do events at Soundboard Theater, which is we partner with them. I mean, there's a number of events from a prospecting perspective. The new business and groups team's always putting on different types of events that keeps people engaged. That's the whole purpose of doing these, to get in front of folks, continue to show value on top of their purchase, whether it's a group perspective, a season ticket. All those things are paramount in what we're doing to hopefully drive the revenue and behaviors we're looking for. But there's a number of different events, like we can go on and on with a whole list of them. But what Danny listed here, I think is those are the ones that are like really impactful, and I would concur with that.
Yeah, and I think the only other thing I'd point out, and Brian, I know you had mentioned, and Danny, I'm sure you all do this as well. I mean, you did here, you have a presenting partner of really just that common thread throughout the organization, like tying in some of your marquee sponsors to some of these different events and really being intentional about who those partners are and the ones that maybe are trying to reach a specific demographic. And giving them options because you're hosting so many different types of events. You're really giving a benefit to your partnerships team. So kudos to the ticketing and service team for partnering up to make the sponsorship team look good too, right? In that process.
Yeah, I mean, like our partnership team does a great job of like bringing partners to the table, saying, "Hey, they want to host an event for us," and then we're able to be strategic on who we invite. So whether it's a Angels Envy that wants to come in and wants to put their product in front of our rookie accounts or first year, like we're able to do those things. And it's a great thing where one, there's little cost to us, if any, because the partner wants to go ahead and put this on. We've hosted a number of these type of events, whether it was for some reason or another, it's always like a tequila tasting or alcohol tasting spots like that. But which is great because then when the members leave, they're very happy because they've had a couple cocktails in them. But overall, like there's just great. They're free events. We want to execute them at a high level as well, and so does the partner. So it's beneficial all around.
Yeah, love that. It's kind of the last piece that we had mentioned in prep for today was really just how do you see, leveraging the experience for group sales and other special items that you're doing and making those available to ticket members and giving them those options. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Can I jump in on that one real quick?
Yes, please do.
So ironically enough, today, in probably the next 30 minutes, we're actually sending this out to our season ticket members. So very topical.
Love it.
So literally we're giving our members an opportunity to purchase these additional items without having the requirement of buying additional tickets because they already have tickets to the game. This is, in my opinion, one of the benefits that almost costs us nothing. But members see high perceived value in it because there's items where they're like, hey, I don't want to buy additional tickets or packages. I just want the item, which we carve out. We don't like just let them go crazy, but we do carve out a certain amount of these that people are
Mm-hmm.
able to purchase. But members love it. They love the added perk. They understand they don't have to buy the additional ticket for a game when they already have season tickets. So this one I think is underrated, but it's a home run, especially once people get a taste of it. So, but yeah, very topical because we're going to send that out later today. So sorry, Danny.
Love that. Danny,
No, that's
do you want to
yeah,
talk a little
that's
bit
okay.
about this specific example?
Yeah, no, we'll be sending this out to our season ticket holders soon as well. But just kind of tying this back to, the surveying that we do, we heard some feedback from season ticket holders that say, hey, these theme nights are great, but unfortunately, I don't have, necessarily access to those items as a season ticket holder without purchasing additional tickets. So this is just something that, we've created. It's called the Season Ticket Holder Marketplace. And basically what it is a pre-sale for season ticket holders to be able to go through and pick items from our theme night packages that they're interested in, and they can just purchase those outright.
Mm-hmm.
As an added benefit for them, we have like a season ticket holder member HQ that's set up on the concourse. So they kind of get, I would call it a fast pass to get their item. They don't necessarily, have to wait in a longer line with everyone else. But it's just been, like Brian said, it's a home run for us. It's definitely an added benefit for season ticket holders. And then once the pre-sale is over, if we have items that are left over from packages that might not have been sold, we put those items back in the marketplace. So it's something that, yes, we have a pre-sale that's before the season, but truly this is something that we have open all season long.
Yeah, love that. I think the other kind of key, I know we're coming right up about 40 minutes past the hour, so we will jump into some Q&A, but before that, I wanted to take an opportunity just to highlight some of the new things that we're seeing of people leveraging. AI is such a hot topic right now, so I feel like I'd be doing a disservice if I wasn't talking about how that's helping the renewal process or the member engagement process in a digital space. So this is I'm on the back end of the San Antonio Spurs. They've given me approval to do this, so believe me, I'm not just jumping into something I'm not allowed to. But right here, I can go in and leverage AI to help tune the messaging that I'm sending out to people as well. So I'm focused here. If I wanted to go in and say, evaluate my box lease wait list details presentation and let me know what might be missing. So the AI is going to go in and evaluate this presentation and give me feedback. So really thinking about, as you're thinking through the messaging that's going out to a specific group or a specific premium member or rookie members, you can kind of leverage this to help inform you. And I went ahead and just, for the interest of time here, I teed up kind of the answer ahead of time, right? So look at that lease box and it's coming in and saying it already has a solid core, right? Here's some other things that might be missing. So it's giving me very detailed information. And if I scroll all the way down to the bottom here, the quick take, right? It needs to include why act now, how the waitlist process works, clear next steps, and contact information. So this is a presentation that needs a little bit more information, but the good news is I didn't have to go have a meeting for 30 minutes with someone and review this and do it, right? This is evaluating this particular presentation. From a leadership perspective, we see a lot of our member services leads, our new business leads going in and saying, okay, for the last 10 presentations from a new business perspective that my team has created, what are some common themes? What are some things that are missing? Or this is a process that we have in place. We can kind of tune this AI to ensure that your team, if they're using a prompt, that they're following the process that you instill and you want in place. So if they are getting that opportunity of showcasing the benefits, what are some other things that always need to be married to that benefit slide being turned on, things like that. So I wanted to just take a moment. It's just kind of some more cutting edge things that we're seeing and really people leveraging AI to evaluate content as well as, adjust, edit, refine, create new. But I think it's a great way to evaluate sort of the messaging that you're using. Any other ways you guys are using AI? I know I'm kind of throwing a curveball at you, but any other ways you all are using AI today, within your process or as you're engaging with members or thinking through maybe some of your messaging?
I think it's just going to continue to like evolve and just be more and more part of our daily usage. I think it's one of the things where you can't necessarily ignore because it's there and it's impactful. So I would say we're embracing it. Like we have our co-pilot and everything like that. We run stuff through to kind of help out. Um, but yeah, I just think it's going to be incorporated more and more in our business practices as we would figure out like who that expert is internally
Yeah.
to continue to weigh in on it. And I think it's going to help our business practice be more efficient across the board. So I wouldn't say we're 100% fully integrated to my knowledge, but
Yep.
I think we're definitely uh, getting closer and closer to that.
You know, there was an interesting question that just came through on this, and it just said, and this is, I throw this over to you, Danny, and you, Brian, and I'll kind of think it through myself as well. But it just says, our buyer behavior is changing because of AI based on what you're seeing at your teams. Like, have you seen any change in that behavior yet?
I don't know about that specifically, but I mean, we are embracing it, kind of like what Brian said. We do have virtual assistants that reach out to clients to kind of like warm them up, and then
Mm-hmm.
we pass them off to our service team, and we've used them from everything from groups and theme nights to event communications. So it's definitely been successful for us in that regard.
Yeah. And one of the other questions that came up was just, does the AI come with DIGIDECK or is it an add-on? So we have kind of a mix of people attending today. We have some new business prospects. We have some existing partners. We have people that are outside of the sports space that have joined. But I would say, for existing partners, it is an add-on. But for any new business partner, this is standard. It's kind of our latest platform version has all the AI in it. So it's really kind of a conversation that we're having with our existing partners to upgrade to that portion of it. They have bits and pieces of it, but not all of it. And then for all new business partners, they do have the AI. So appreciate those questions. Anything else from the group, or Danny, Brian, anything else that you feel like top of mind for you? What's keeping you up at night today from a ticketing perspective? I know you have things launching today, Brian. Danny, you have things in short order. You're both in preparation for the upcoming hockey season. Any other bit of information you think would be relevant for the group that's on today?
I guess just on my end, what's keeping me up, everything. No, I would say like it's more so like just trying to continue to meet people where they are and make it a simplistic process. I mean, look, you can go on Amazon right now and probably buy a motorcycle in 2 clicks, and spend like $10,000. So when we're asking people to spend like up in the, you know, teens of thousands and stuff like that, 20, 30,000, like I want to try to continue to find a way to make it as simple as possible for them, process everything. And it's going to take some pressure off our team members as well,
Mhm.
so they don't have to worry about or focus on that person. We talk about the people that are likely to renew, like, great. We want to make sure you can do it quickly and efficiently as possible in like a matter of clicks.
Yep.
So that's one thing that I always want to continue to like hone in on. And then yeah, I'm always concerned about those people you just don't hear from, and you feel like you're throwing everything out there to them, but it's understanding like their reason on why the
Hmm.
purchase. I think that's the mystery because like it's like you bought for a reason in the first place, it wasn't like you were just randomly selected. So um, those are just some of the things I would say that are keeping me up. I mean, we definitely throw in like the new business, like how are we like attracting new customers and stuff like that. Those things are always important, but I think the most important thing overall is just being efficient with our
Hmm.
time and our energy and just making sure we're moving the business forward continuously.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that just popped into my head, it's kind of a random bit of knowledge. I was on LinkedIn over the last, week or so, and I don't remember, I can't give credit to whoever posted this. But it was, thinking through like they had an investment to make, right? They're investing in tickets and they could have made the investment in something else and made millions of dollars, but they made the investment in their season tickets and they were taking their daughter off to college. And they were just saying it's so about it's those moments, right? It's connecting with those members to say, like, these are moments you're always going to remember, whether that's with your friends, with family members, whoever you're taking to that game and that experience with you. Those are memories that last a lifetime. It was a gentleman, it was a dad who was dropping off his daughter and just said, you know what, I wouldn't trade, you couldn't pay me enough money to trade those memories and that experience that I have with my daughter. And it was like a picture of him hugging his daughter, dropping her off at college. He's like, I'm not gonna lie, I cried the whole way home, the whole thing. But I think it's an interesting moment in trying to capture that emotion and convey that in a really good storytelling manner in the way you're communicating with your members.
Yeah, and for me, I just think the sports and entertainment landscape is constantly changing. I said
Mhm.
it wasn't too long ago that we were printing invoices and stuffing papers. Well, it wasn't too long ago that we were printing tickets and sending them out. So it's just something that's constantly changing. Like Brian said, meeting fans where they're at. Like, are
Yeah.
we doing everything, from an app perspective, from an email communication perspective to educate our season ticket holders, to educate our fans what they can expect, know before you goes,
Mhm.
just that kind of education piece. And also where AI is going to be taking us in the next couple of years. That's something that
Yes.
keeps me up at night too.
Yes, no, absolutely. Us too. And we're just excited. I think it's a great trajectory that we're on, and just appreciate both of you guys joining today, and for the attendees for jumping on. We will send the recording out to everyone who attended and those that had to jump off a little early who may have missed some of the great points that we had. And just thank you, Danny and Brian, for your thought leadership and for joining and for being partners with DIGIDECK, and just hope everyone has a great afternoon, and good luck with the campaign that's going off today, Brian.
Awesome. Thank you.
All
Appreciate
right.
everyone.
Take care,
Thank,
everyone.
thank you.